Hi everyone, it's time for another story again. This is a true story that happened in India. January 16th, 2025. A man murdered and cooked his wife, ground her bones into powder, and flushed them down the toilet, and threw the minced meat into a lake to feed the fish. What secrets lie behind this seemingly happy marriage? This shocking case occurred in Hyderabad, India. The suspect, named Guru Murthy, is 45 years old. Before retiring, he served as a deputy platoon commander in the army, and after retirement, he worked as a security officer at the Defense Research and Development Organization. He had been married to his wife Madhavi for 13 years, and they had a son and a daughter together. Madhavi had no job and focused on taking care of the children at home. In 2020, Guru Murthy moved his family to Hyderabad and rented the two-story house where the crime took place. In the early days of their marriage, Guru Murthy would call his wife whenever he had time, and their affectionate relationship made many people envious. However, due to Guru Murthy's busy work schedule, he had no time to take care of household matters, so the heavy responsibility of raising the two children fell entirely on Madhavi. The couple often quarreled because they could understand each other. As time went by, the conflicts in their marriage grew more intense. Sometimes out of anger, Madhavi would deliberately not answer her husband's calls. Guru Murthy then began to have wild thoughts, constantly imagining scenes where he worked hard outside to support the family, while his wife cheated on him at home. Various suspicions and misunderstandings accelerated the deterioration of their marriage. Madhavi called her mother every day to pour out her grievances and tell her about her hardships. Whenever the couple had a fierce quarrel, Madhavi would go back to her parents' house to stay for a period of time. Therefore, Guru Murthy's relationship with his in-laws was not good either, and they only maintained a superficial harmony until January 18th, 2025. Something unexpected happened. Madhavi had not contacted her parents for 2 days. Calling each other every day had become a habit for the mother and daughter. But in these 2 days, Madhavi seemed to have vanished into thin air. Her parents couldn't reach her no matter what. Worried, they called their son-in-law Guru Murthy, and only then did they learn that after a quarrel between the couple, Madhavi had left home. Guru Murthy even thought his wife had returned to her parents' house. Upon hearing that their daughter was missing, the elderly couple immediately traveled 300 kilometers to their daughter's house and went to the police station with their son-in-law to file airport at 3 p.m. Guru Murthy told the police that on January 13th, 2025, the day before the Sankranti festival, the couple wanted to let the children relax, so they sent the children to Guru Murthy's elder sister's house. The next day, Guru Murthy discussed with his wife, Madhavi, whether they should go back to his home together, pick up the children on the way, and celebrate the festival as a family. But Madhavi refused. She finally had a chance to rest and wanted to go back to her parents' house to stay with them for 2 days. The couple was deadlocked and had a big quarrel, after which Madhavi left in a fit of anger. Guru Murthy was also very angry. The Sankranti festival is a major local festival that is celebrated lively for 4 days. Yet his wife left home without caring about his feelings at all. Holding back his anger, he didn't go out to look for her. In the evening, he went out alone to pick up the children from his elder sister's house. When the children didn't see their mother, they excitedly wanted to go out to look for her. To prevent the children from worrying, Guru Murthy lied casually, saying that their mother had gone to a friend's house. Guru Murthy thought that since the children were at home, his wife wouldn't go far even if she left, and she would eventually come back, so he didn't worry much about her. However, the next morning, Madhavi's phone still went unanswered. But this was unusual. When Madhavi was angry, she liked to give him the silent treatment, and it was common for her to refuse to answer calls out of spite. He still didn't think much about it and went to work as usual. He originally thought that his wife would be back home at the latest before he got off work. but he didn't expect to still not see her. His heart sank immediately, and he was about to call his relatives. But unexpectedly, just as he picked up his phone, his mother-in-law called, asking where his wife was and why they couldn't reach her for 2 days. On the surface, this seemed like just a missing person case. But as the investigation progressed, the police found that the truth was far more complicated than it appeared. Tips from key witnesses quickly turned this ordinary missing person case into a major case. A shocking secret was about to be exposed, shocking not only the Mumbai area but also the entire nation. At the beginning of the investigation, the police found many inconsistencies with Guru Murthy's statement. First, did Madhavi really leave home out of anger? After January 16th, no neighbors had seen Madhavi. What was even more incredible was that none of the neighbors knew that Madhavi was missing during the festival. Many people returned to their hometowns to celebrate, and those who stayed in the community knew very little about Guru Murthy's family. According to them, the Guru Murthy family rarely interacted with outsiders and also didn't let their children go out to play with the neighbors' children in the lively community. The Guru Murthy family lived a reclusive life. Second, there was a surveillance camera opposite Guru Murthy's house, which happened to capture footage before and after Madhavi's disappearance. At 10:40 p.m. on January 15th, 2025, Guru Murthy and Madhavi could be clearly seen returning home together in the footage. However, in all subsequent surveillance records, there was no longer any footage of Madhavi going out. Nevertheless, the surveillance on January 16th did capture Guru Murthy going out alone carrying a bucket. All evidence indicated that after Madhavi entered the house, she never came out again. But how could a person disappear out of thin air in her own home while her husband went in and out carrying things without any worry? The police immediately realized there was a problem and made a bold guess. Madhavi might have been killed, and the primary crime scene was most likely their home. Sure enough, the police later found 3 important clues in Guru Murthy's house. First, a neighbor stated that throughout January 16, 2025, there was a continuous clattering sound from Guru Murthy's house, accompanied by a disgusting stench. Second, the police found some splattered bloodstains in his house. Third, and most crucially, Madhavi's mobile phone was actually at home. If she had really left home, how could she have left her mobile phone behind? The police summoned Guru Murthy again. At first, Guru Murthy still told lies, constant lie misleading the police to focus on the missing person angle. But the moment the police showed him the surveillance footage, Guru Murthy fell silent, followed by a complete breakdown. He not only admitted to the murder, but also confessed to an appalling crime. According to Guru Murthy's confession, starting from 8 a.m. on January 16th, 2025, his wife, Madhavi, insisted on going back to her parents' house. He clearly refused, saying he would never go to Madhavi's parents' house. If they were to go anywhere, it should be to his elder sister's house. Because of this matter, the two quarreled again. As the quarrel escalated, they began to bring up old grievances and accuse each other. In a fit of rage, Madhavi roughly took off the necklace around her neck and stuffed it into his mouth. Since Madhavi was already dead, the entire process only came from Guru Murthy's account, so it remains to be determined who made the first move. In any case, according to Guru Murthy, Madhav humiliated him, and he was immediately enraged. He rushed forward, grabbed Madhavi by the neck, and slammed her head against the wall. Repeated lie. Madhavi fainted on the spot and fell to the floor, on the verge of death. Guru Murthy straddled her body and tightly choked her throat until Madhavi breathed at her last. Guru Murthy killed his wife with his own hands, and only afterward did he belatedly feel fear. He couldn't let the children know what he had done, and he could untell the police even more. He racked his brains to cover up his crime, and the first step was to dispose of Madhavi's body, making it never see the light of day and ensuring no one could ever find it. After all, in India, it is very difficult to convict a murderer without a body. Guru Murthy's mind raced as he thought of a way to get away with it. He suddenly remembered a movie scene he had seen before. After a brother murdered his sister, he used chemicals to completely dissolve the body and then flushed it down the toilet to destroy the evidence. Guru Murthy wanted to do the same, but he didn't save chemicals to dissolve the body. He searched for many solutions online to see if he could use things he had at home. Finally, Guru Murthy found a way. He took off Madhavi's clothes, used a kitchen knife to dismember her body into 4 large pieces, and then cut each piece into smaller chunks. He boiled some of the chunks and then roasted another part. During the entire process, Guru Murthy had forgotten that the person in front of him was his wife, who had accompanied him through many years. The boiling water emitted a strong stench that made people seize water. Guru Murthy had to open the windows, and the stench drifted to the neighboring houses with the wind. The neighbors were overwhelmed by the stench and came out to look for the source. After searching for a long time, they found that the stench was coming from the kitchen of Guru Murthy's house. They knocked on Guru Murthy's door and asked him what he was doing. Guru Murthy had already prepared an excuse, saying that he was cooking a mutton dish called Taraka Aya curry, and the reason for the bad smell was that there was ash sheep sheet in the pot. The neighbors had cooked sheep sheets before and felt that the smell was not right, but they could untie an excuse to enter Guru Murthy's house, so they had to leave. Guru Murthy narrowly escaped suspicion and took the opportunity to go back to the kitchen to continue his horrific work. The meat that had been boiled and roasted easily fell off the bones. Guru Murthy collected all the bones, ground them into powder with a pestle, and flushed the powder down the toilet. Some of the debris that could not be flushed down was poured into empty paint buckets, and together with the cooked meat, it was thrown into a lake 4 kilometers away to feed the fish. The reason Guru Murthy boiled and roasted the meat and crushed the bones was to ensure that when he threw them into the water, the fish would quickly devour these human tissues, completely destroying the evidence of the body. After disposing of the body, Guru Murthy began to thoroughly clean the house, wiping every inch to ensure all bloodstains were removed. Next, to get rid of the pungent smell in the house, he sprayed air freshener in every corner. Finally, just to be safe, Guru Murthy reviewed the entire process and checked every nook and cranny of the house, fearing that he might leave any traces. Only after the check did Guru Murthy feel relieved. He locked the door of the bedroom where he had dismembered the body and went to his elder sister's house late at night to pick up the 2 children. Guru Murthy's confession ended here. The police immediately went to his residence to collect the remaining bloodstains, fingerprints, and biological fluids at the scene. After 3 hours of intensive work, the forensic team found several blood samples in the bathroom, while some police officers found 16 pieces of evidence in Guru Murthy's house, including knives and buckets. All these pieces of evidence were sent to the laboratory for testing. At the same time, the Hyderabad pressure cooker wife murder case, though the police clarified that this case had nothing to do with a pressure cooker, caused a sensation across the city. However, rumors spread widely, and countless media flocked to Guru Murthy's residence, competing to get first-hand news. On the other hand, the police task force spent several days searching for Madhavi's body, remains in the Jalalagut Ta Lake, but found nothing. It seemed that the crushed meat and bone fragments had been completely eaten by the fish. A few days later, Guru Murthy was charged with murder. The police believed that this case was not a crime of passion, but a carefully premeditated one. Investigators revealed that they had found evidence of the murder as premeditated murder before committing the crime. Guru Murthy had already planned out the steps, waiting for the neighbors and the landlord to return to their hometowns for the festival before killing his wife. It is worth mentioning, however, that the police have not yet clarified the motive for the murder. According to some media reports, Guru Murthy had an improper relationship with his wife's best friend, which was discovered by Madhav, and this directly led to the quarrel between the couple. Guru Murthy murdered his wife simply to spend the rest of his life with his new lover. However, the authenticity of this claim remains unconfirmed. In addition, during the interrogation, although Guru Murthy confessed to the crime, only he himself knows how much of his testimony is true. So far, the DNA matching results have not yet come out, and the police have not found clear evidence that the victim was Madhavi. Even if the DNA matching is successful, the police may not be able to convict Guru Murthy. He insists on defending himself in court. After all, Madhavi's body has been destroyed, and he is confident that he can exploit loopholes in the law and use tricks to get away with the crime. Coincidentally, a similar murder and cooking case occurred in Mumbai, India in June 2023. On June 7, 2023, an extremely unpleasant smell suddenly emanated from a residential building in Gitanagar. The indescribable stench grew stronger over time. The residents thought that a rat had died in someone's house and went door to look for the source. Finally, they found where the stench was coming from: house 704. A neighbor stood at the door of house 704 and smelled carefully. He was quite sure that there must be a dead body, whether it was a rat or some other animal inside this house. Just as the neighbor was hesitating whether to knock on the door to remind the owner of house 704 about the dead animal, frequent water spraying sounds suddenly came from inside the door. Then, a smell of perfume mixed with the stench hit the neighbor's nose. The neighbor felt more and more suspicious. If there was a dead rat in the house, why didn't you clean it up instead of just spraying perfume to cover the smell? The neighbor knocked on the door, and the door was opened immediately. The stench rushed out. The neighbor looked at the man who opened the door and hesitated to remind him that there might be a dead rat in his house. The man, named Manoj, froze for a moment and said he knew about it and would handle it later. The neighbor quickly asked if he needed help, but Manoj coldly stopped the neighbor at the door, saying he was going to be late for work and would deal with it when he came back in the evening. The neighbor went back half convinced. After a while, he saw Manoj holding a long rolling pin, riding a motorcycle in a hurry to leave the community. The neighbor felt more and more and immediately contacted the security guard, asking the guard to find someone to check house 704, considering that there had been frequent murder cases in the surrounding area recently. The security guard did not dare to be negligent and immediately called the police. The Mumbai police rushed to the scene quickly and broke into the apartment with the security guard. There was some food in the refrigerator, which was nothing special. The bathroom was empty, and the bedroom was also empty. The police turned their attention to the kitchen, where a bathtub and several buckets filled with water were placed. The police opened their eyes wide and looked closely. Only then did they discover that there were pieces of a human body at the bottom of the water. There were things that looked like meat pieces on a frying pan, and next to it was a pressure cooker filled with half-cooked meat chunks. The police had a terrible suspicion. They divided into groups to search every room again. Under the bed in the bedroom, they found a cut-off woman's braid, confirming that the victim was a female. In the evening, Manoj, the owner of house 704, came back from work. When he walked to the downstairs of the building, he noticed that there were several police cars parked at the back gate of the community. Manoj didn't have time to think and subconsciously tried to run away, but he was immediately arrested by the reinforcement police officers. According to the investigation, Manoj was 56 years old, born in 1967 in Ahmednagar district, Maharashtra. He lost both parents when he was young and barely grew up with the support of his uncle. Fortunately, Manoj studied hard and successfully got into an industrial training institute, where he completed a technician training course. After graduation, the 20-something Manoj was full of ambition, thinking that with his skills, he could easily find a place to settle down in Mumbai. But things didn't go as he wished he could. And he find a technician job in Mumbai at all. Manoj was severely hit. He moved around several places and finally got a job in a supermarket. After saving money for a few years, Manoj became slightly better off. He bought an apartment in a local residential building and planned to find a wife to get married. Manoj was not a very introverted person. He would strike up conversations with girls and take the initiative to approach and please them. He had been in relationships before, but none of them led to marriage. By the age of 35, Manoj was still unmarried. About 10 years later, when Manoj was 48, he met a 4-year-old woman named Vaidya. Vaidya was also an orphan, with a life experience similar to Manoj's. After her mother died early, Vaidya was abandoned by her father. She grew up in an orphanage with her 3 sisters and only left the orphanage when she became an adult. She also came to Mumbai to make a living, hoping to find a decent job, but in the end, she had to do odd jobs out of financial necessity. The two got along very well and had a lot to talk about. Over time, their friendship turned into love and they started living together. In 2015, Manoj sold his apartment and bought a 2-bedroom apartment in Gitanagar instead, moving into house 704. A new life began, though plain. The two went out early and came back late to work hard for their future, and they lived a happy life. However, this couple had a characteristic. They didn't like to interact with neighbors. They stayed together all day long, enjoying their private time as a couple. The neighbors didn't know about their relationship. Looking at the age gap between them, everyone thought that Manoj and Vaidya were father and daughter. Manoj didn't care about how others saw them. Instead, he openly introduced Vaidya as his daughter. Sometimes, Vaidya would also jokingly call Manoj uncle. Both of them knew that their age gap was too big, which would easily lead to gossip, so they almost never participated in any community activities, often avoided neighbors, didn't go downstairs for walks, and never talked to anyone. They even didn't interact with the neighbor across the hall. According to the neighbor across the hall, they had never seen the door of house 704 open, and many people thought that no one lived in house 704. But none of this mattered to Manoj and Vaidya. Love was enough to sustain them. From 2015 to 2019, the couple lived freely in their own little world for 4 years. In the middle of 2019, they went to a temple to hold a secret wedding without informing any relatives. Before leaving, the only person who knew about this matter was one of Vaidya's best friends. The best friend earnestly advised her that she was rushing into marriage too quickly and that Manoj was old enough to be her father. She must not act on impulse, but Vaidya was determined to marry Manoj at that time, and the two finally tied the knot. However, everything changed in June 2023. Manoj told the police 2 versions of what happened. The first version was that during the pandemic, Manoj lost his job and his income dropped sharply. Poverty breeds strife between husband and wife. Vaidya and Manoj often had big quarrels about money. Finally, one day, Vaidya had a mental breakdown and committed suicide by taking poison on June 3rd. When Manoj found out, he was afraid that others would misunderstand that he had killed Vaidya, so he had to find a way to deal with the scene. At first, he wanted to drag Vaidya out and bury her, but he was too old and in poor health to do so. In the end, he had no choice but to dismember her body. For this purpose, he even spent 4,000 rupees to buy an electric saw. After dismembering the body, he flushed part of it down the toilet, put part of it in a pressure cooker to boil, and finally add corrosive liquid into the bath tub and buckets to soak the large bones in them. The boiled meat chunks were stored in the refrigerator. Later, every day when he went to work, he would take part of the meat down to feed the dogs. According to Manoj's plan, There were 35 pieces of meat in total, and it should take at most 18 days to dispose of them all. But unexpected lie, the police found out before he could finish disposing of them. The police naturally didn't believe this version of the story, so during the second interrogation, Manoj gave another version. He admitted to murdering his wife Vadia, but claimed that he had his reasons. Vadia had a strong desire to control, monitored him all the time, checked his mobile phone, questioned his whereabouts, and always suspected that he was having an affair with other girls. To be honest, Vadia's suspicion was not unfounded, because when the police checked Manoj's mobile phone, they found that he had explicit conversations with many girls. The police also couldn't understand why these girls were interested in this old man. Manoj said that the trigger for the crime was on the night of June 3rd, 2023. He had a big quarrel with Vadia that night. Vadia accused him of not being as loyal as before, refused to let him sleep in the bedroom, and threw his bedding into the hallway. He was furious and was afraid that he couldn't control Vadia. He worried that Vadia might do something extreme in the future, so he struck first and murdered her. Manoj swore that what he said this time was definite lie true, and that he had no reason to lie. He had accidentally received a blood transfusion from an AIDS patient during emergency treatment after a car accident in 2008 and had contracted the terminal illness. Anyway, he wouldn't live much longer, and because of this, he had never had a physical relationship with Vadia at all. They really lived like father and daughter. The preliminary autopsy report showed that there was poison in the victim's body, indicating that Vadia was most likely killed by poisoning. In September 2023, the police formally prosecuted Manoj, accusing him of poisoning his wife Vadia to death with insecticide, although the subsequent chemical analysis by the forensic science laboratory did not find any traces of poison in the body remains. The police stated that they had extracted poison samples from the buckets where the body was stored. However, experts believed that even if there was poison in the victim's body, it was impossible to determine whether Vadia took the poison herself or was forced to take it, and it was still too early to accuse Manoj of murder. According to the latest news, after committing the crime, Manoj took many nude photos of the victim and searched Google many times for how to dispose of a body. Currently, Manoj is still in prison, and the police have not yet announced the specific motive for the murder. Because Vadia had an old injury on her hand, the police have not ruled out the possibility of domestic violence. In addition, according to Vadia's sisters, Vadia was actively preparing for the high school exam before her death, planning to find a job after obtaining her high school diploma, but Manoj refused to let Vadia go out, let alone let her work. No one knows if this was the cause of the tragedy. Well, that's the entire process of the two cases in this issue. Thank you for your support. See you next time.